We want to say shout out to our sponsors, Watchman Cigars, 1812 Barbecue, Blue Collar's Cycles Shop, Hook, Line, and Heroes, and our new sponsor, Words of Hope. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Words of Hope. If you're like us, it's hard to get some time in the Word, and that's where Words of Hope comes into play. Words of Hope is a daily devotional podcast, and it brings a few minutes of comfort and hope into our day. Each episode includes a passage of Scripture and a thoughtful reflection. And for only 5 minutes long, you can listen anywhere and anytime. Words of Hope is available wherever your podcasts are sold. Again, on a personal note, I've really enjoyed them. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. They're going through Solomon. They get a couple scriptures, or a scripture, dive into it, give you a helpful word of encouragement, and I've really enjoyed them. They've helped me out, especially in this difficult time. Everybody says difficult time, but honestly, it's just a few minutes of peace and quiet before I start my day. So I appreciate our friends from Words of Hope. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's our take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, while you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from our Blue Collar Cycles bunkers right here in beautiful Concord, North Carolina. We've got a great show lined up for you, as always. But before we begin, let me introduce you to our starting lineup. I, of course, be your host, Biggun, and how about you? At the control deck is our producer, Brian.
Hey, guys.
MIA is our videographer, Magic Man. We just want to say shout out to you, sir. We can't relay what happened due to HIPAA privacy, but we will say that our thoughts and prayers are with you, my friend. And, of course, across the way sits the pride of Anderson, South Carolina. Most of you probably know him best as the Silver Tongue won 2016's Honorable Mention Father of the Year, the inventor of the redneck egg roll. Give it up on old mic number one. It's Mojo!
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back.
Yes, he is.
Rona free still.
Is it official that you're Corona free?
I haven't been officially tested yet, but I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb and say I don't have it.
Okay.
Or I'm asymptomatic. One of the two. No mask. Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in to Southern Fried Philosophy. You can find us on our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. You do have our playable links there for those who are actually able to listen to those at work. We are suitable for work post episodes. You can also go to our Facebook page at Southern Fried Philosophy. Wherever you listen to your podcast at, you can just go there. Stitcher, Apple Play, Google Play, anywhere. Just go search Southern Fried Philosophy. Hit the subscribe button. Also, give us a review. Give us a rating. That's how we move up in the algorithms of the old search algorithms of the search engines there. You can also find it on the Twitters and Instagram at SFP Radio. Our Patreon link, patreon.com/SFP Radio, and also our YouTube at youtube.com/SFP Radio.
Just a word to our sponsors for our SFP Insiders. We will be kicking that back up, so expect a deduction coming out for the month of June. Yes, sir. Also, Producer Brian, you mentioned last time our YouTube subscribers. We need to get that number up. So we're calling to our SFP family to please, if you're listening to the podcast, which I hope you are, or you're watching live right now, go out, hit the subscribe, like, whatever on YouTube so we get those numbers up. And what happens when we get 100? You got to get 100 subscribers, right?
Yeah. So right now, if you go to youtube.com, we don't have the handle, the SFP radio handle. You have some random gobbledygook YouTube number because you have to have 100 subscribers to be able to create a custom URL just for like searchable stuff. If we can get up to 100, we can customize things. It means we're a real channel, I think. Right. We're big boy YouTubers. And I may actually post that YouTube link in the chat for anyone who's on Facebook and wants to just hop over, subscribe, like the channel real quick, and you can go back to
that'd be great.
Back home to your Facebook where you're comfortable.
You you mentioned the big boy pants for our YouTube subscribers, except Hot Pocket loves YouTube. Like, that's his thing. Like, he loves it.
I like YouTube also. I watch a good bit because I don't have time to watch full like hour-long or 4-hour-long things. Usually I'm watching a 10-minute thing between. Well, actually, when I get my quiet time and go in the toilet, that's why I watch like a 10-minute YouTube video kind of thing. So.
There you go. But he's watching these videos, and they're like little kids, and they've got millions of subscribers, like millions. And they're just like running
YouTube
around the playground.
Sorry, that's not muted.
You okay there?
Yeah, I'm a professional here. Give me a second.
Hey, speaking of, if you are at home and you want to start your own podcast, Producer Brian can get that going for you with random words that just fly all over the screen. No, he can do an awesome job for you. If you want to start your own podcast, check out and want to check out Producer Brian's work, email him at headlines@sfpradio.com.
Yeah, it may not be a good podcast, but it'll be a podcast.
It will be. It will be. We want to send a shout out to our listeners. We've talked about the RV map that we want to fill up every state. Well, I do have some good news. We did get a listener from South Dakota, so we can scratch that one off our list. So we still need New Hampshire, Vermont, Delaware, West Virginia, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Alaska. And here's where I'm a little suspicious. I noticed that Maine all of a sudden fell off of our map. I looked back from 2017, and we don't have any listeners from Maine. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was like that COVID case where North Carolina was counting it, and then they switched over and like, no. That's our Virginia one. But all of a sudden now Maine is off the list. So we gained South Dakota, but we're going to have to add Maine back to the list.
Did Canada like invade and adjust the border or something?
Oh,
is that what happened?
They might have. They did redistricting, and that's what happened. Yeah. They took Maine, and we didn't even know it. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, like I ask you every week, how you be doing? Producer Brian, I'm going to go to you, sir.
All righty. Well, I had a very supreme dad moment today.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I got put in charge of homeschool for like 30 minutes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had to help my kindergartner with her math homework.
Okay.
And we've documented my math skills on this show.
Right. Math is hard.
Math is hard. Apparently, kindergarten math's really hard because I had to go running for help really fast. It's just simple. It should have been simple, but the way things are worded and just it just need to draw pictures for me or something because she was like, even my kindergartner was like, that doesn't sound right. We're just describing shapes. Like it's just like, it was go find something that looks like a 3-dimensional shape and then describe what makes it a 3-dimensional. Like, it was kind of abstract for a 6-year-old, you know? It was kind of abstract for a 39-year-old too, but
right.
Man.
Did you say you needed to get your glasses to figure that out?
Yeah, and glasses. That was it.
I had the same experience this very day with Hot Pocket. So he's got this problem on the computer, and it's like, how many triangles are in this triangle? You know, this diagram. So it's a regular triangle, and it's got more triangles like in it. And I'm counting, and I'm like, I think if I were to guess, I'm counting, I think there's 17. But then 17 is not an option. So I'm like, oh, let me count again. I have to go through. Now I'm getting 19. 19 is not an option. So, like, I'm confused. I'm like, hey, buddy, if you get this one wrong, that's on me. I'll get it. I picked 18. It was 27. How could I have been off that much? There's 27 triangles.
Wow.
I was so confused.
Yeah.
So, I got you on that one. Mojo, how you been doing?
I think this may be the coldest May on winter so far. I don't know what your thoughts on that is, but
did you say the coldest May on winter?
Yeah, or May on record.
Okay,
so I heard what you heard.
I'm trying not to eat the mic.
Yeah,
I'm trying to eat the mic.
You're perfect right there.
You're hungry because you need some more chips.
Probably so. Yeah, kind of famine.
Yeah, like 2 days ago,
yeah.
it was really cold, like in the 40s or something. Today it was 100 degrees.
Well, 89, but let's.
But it's been a. I wonder if started to wonder if the cut down in emissions or something has.
No!
You know what I'm saying? Because
global cooling, is that what's happening?
We finally got what the Democrats wanted, and we stopped global warming by stop driving around.
It's
genius. They were genius.
Think about it. We're using 300 million barrels of oil less a day in America. I mean, you got to think there's got to be some correlation with that. I think, or maybe it's just weather. But like last May, I think it was like all rainy every day, and a sauna in the South.
Sure.
And this year's kind of frigid. Nah, but how I'm doing? I mean, I'm doing great. Just busy season right now, and just still working like crazy.
You've got a candle, and you're burning them by both ends.
Yeah.
You are cranking it out there, Chief.
Well, you gotta strike with the iron's hot, right? So
that's what they say.
Yep. My oldest daughter did have a family meeting the other day where she did tell me I'm working too much, so I'm trying to dial it back.
Is there an intervention at your house?
It was pretty much intervention. I was expecting cameras from A&E, but I didn't have that. But it was an intervention. A needed intervention. But yeah.
Well, listen, it's come from your wife. It's come from me. It's come from your partner. Work partner, not that kind of partner. Your daughter. So hopefully at this point you'll get the point. I don't know. Maybe the dog will put a note on the dog like, "Hey, buddy, I need you to slow down."
Maybe. You never know.
Charlie.
How you doing?
I'm good. Let me ask you guys, and I have to be careful because the wife's in the other room, and this is between us, right? So nobody's going to be listening. Does your wife ever get crazy brain? And let me explain what happened. So it was Small Batch woke us up the other night, and she, like she was screaming. Small Batch was, again, if you're not listening to the show before, Small Batch is our 9-month-old foster kid. She was screaming bloody murder. I usually have to sleep with earplugs in because she snores really bad. So I sleep with my wife. So she snores really bad.
I can relate.
Okay, so far you're tracking with me. So I put the earplugs in, but I'm hearing Small Batch screaming bloody murder. So I go into the room, and she's just like standing there. I'm like, you gonna do something with this kid? And she's changing her diaper, but she's like out of her mind, like it was like a robot, doop, 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 going through it. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Can I help? What can I do? And she's like, I don't know. And then she just turned around, went to the bed, and fell asleep.
Was she sleepwalking?
I don't think she was sleepwalking. I was like, did you feed her? She's like, no. And just went to sleep. And I was like, what in the world just happened? And let's be very clear. Like, my wife is the most level-headed, like, amazing person I know. But she just had a moment where I'm like, what? Who are... Every once in a while, she'll get up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, there's nothing behind those eyes. And so I had to take... There was no safety problems at all. She was in her, like, little thing. She was changing her diaper. Everything was fine. So let's DSS. Don't ride us. Everything's fine. I took her, fed her. She went back to sleep. Kid was great. But it was just like that moment. I'm like, what are you doing? Do you guys ever have that? Have you...
I can't relate because I had the night shift.
Okay. So you were the crazy brain one.
No. I just didn't sleep for the first 6 years of our oldest life. So
the first 6 years.
Just come in from work, come in from night and come in from work at night, get home, and all of a sudden it's my duty. So unfortunately, but the crazy brain, I think that's pretty much 365. So
for
I think
you
that's
or
just
your wife.
I would claim her, but she'd probably claim me.
Yeah, that's probably true.
We had our own version of like chicken. We would, in the middle of the night. So the trick is, the baby cries, can't move. Just don't move. And maybe you'll get lucky and not get elbowed.
Okay.
Get out. Every now and then you just don't move at all because you're asleep, right?
Yeah.
You're sleeping. So you didn't hear that shrieking animal in the next room.
Yeah. And let me be also very clear. Like she's been the trooper. She's the one that's been getting up at night. And part of the reason why I got the CPAP mask on, so it takes a while to get that thing off and then get over there. But then the biggest part is, like, she can go to sleep, back to sleep, like that in a heartbeat. Me, it takes me like 20, 30 minutes to stop and finally go back to sleep. So there's times where I'm like, absolutely, I've got her. Don't worry about it. You sleep. But for the most part, she's the one. And honestly, too, she just goes in, like, puts the patsy in, like, pats her a few times and walks out and she's fine. But that one night, I was like, hey, buddy, you're just a weird one.
I can relate to the chicken also. That also happens with new puppies, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you try to sit there and pretend like you're asleep for the longest.
Yeah.
And then whoever gets most annoyed, or I usually get the kick in the gut, go grab them.
Yeah. I mean, puppies are like babies, too, essentially. I mean, they're dog babies, but it's like having an infant in the house, right? I've never I don't have dogs, so.
I got one you can have.
Not Charlie. All right, so let's continue moving forward. We're going to the segment that I like to call Biggun Stock Tip of the Week. This is we said on the show, I've been dabbling in the stock market using the Robinhood app. The link to the Robinhood app, if you would like to get started, is on our show notes. I get a stock, you get a stock. If you decided to join, that'd be great. But and I'm a big spender, huge spender. So Clearside Biomedical is my hot stock tip of the week. It's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company that engages in the development of drug therapies to treat blinding diseases of the eye. Here is what I've invested in. I've bought 5 shares at a whopping $1.79. Today, it is listed for $2.13. I have a total return of $1.72, which makes it 19.26%. 19%, ladies and gentlemen. $1.72, y'all. That could almost buy you a Coke and a smile.
Almost buy you another stock.
172 penny stocks, my friend.
Meanwhile, I've been dabbling also.
So what have you talked about that?
I bought some Beyond Meat because of the meat crunch that's coming down the pike.
Okay.
Bought Peloton off your suggestion.
How about Peloton, man? That is cranking right now.
Yeah. And then I bought Ford. So I think I'm at. Go ahead.
Are people actually buying Beyond Meat in the stores? Because every time I walk by it in the supermarket, it's still sitting there.
Well, I bought it on the crunch of the fast food markets because all the fast food chains are adding it. Kentucky Fried Chicken just added Beyond Chicken to their menu, so it's probably a craze, or it could be the new Soylent Green where it's made of people. I don't know, but
chicken.
I don't think it's going anywhere. I've never seen years ago we used to own a health food store, and the only people that bought the fake meat were, patchouli wearing, flip flop wearing, hair and dreads hippies, that bought the fake meat. But everyone's on that trend right now, so I think it's going to catch fire.
Yeah, all
I know is I wished I would have bought it when it was an IPO, because IPO I think it debuted at like $27 a share, and I can't remember what it's at right now.
Peloton, I've made 62% on Peloton. That's a good stock right there.
You have a whole share of that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Beyond Meat is $135.92 right now. That would have made
opened up at $27.
How about it? So I thought anyway, if you want to dabble in the stock market, try the Robinhood app. I like it. It makes it easy. Just move money from your bank account, put it in there, and then you just start diving in and buying stuff. So you don't have to have like a hedge fund manager or anybody else do it for you. So I like that. Guys, have you seen Producer Brian? I don't know about you, Mojo. Are you a subscriber of the Disney Plus
I am, yes.
No.
I illegally stream.
Okay, good for you. So we don't have it. We've got Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Go. So you would think we have enough content to watch.
Mm.
And I thought so that we would be good. We could bypass this Disney Plus because I'm not a Star Wars guy. Marvel, I can live without it. And I don't need Disney princesses or anything like that at this point. Until last week when it was announced that Hamilton is coming to Disney Plus. The musical Hamilton. My wife and I are a huge fan of Hamilton. So she decided, well, now we got to get Disney Plus. It's debuting July 3rd. They're making a movie of it, which I think is just them, at the theater. So I'm going to have to ask producer Brian, what else can I watch on Disney Plus that I might like?
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian's great. I mean, it's Star Wars.
Do I need to know Star Wars to get?
I don't think so. There's some nuggets
No.
if you're like myself, and I'm sure Mojo has a history with Star Wars. It helps a little bit, but I think it's pretty approachable. It's just fun. It's well written. It's a good show to watch. I really enjoyed it. And I don't think if you're a super Star Wars nerd, you get a little more out of it. I think it's enjoyable. Some of the behind.
Plus, it has Baby Yoda.
Oh yeah, you got to have Baby Yoda.
Oh, that's where he came from.
Yeah, they got some good directors and actors in that series. Some of the behind the scenes stuff has been pretty cool. Like some of the documentaries on there. There's National Geographic stuff's on there too. If you're into those sort of things, you can see like some of the behind the scenes, like how they design some of the things with the Magic Kingdom, and just there's some informational things.
Okay, so I might be able to get behind it.
Yeah, and again, of course, I like all the Marvel movies, and it's the perfect channel for me. Disney bought my childhood, so good.
How much are we running a month for that?
Like $5.
What?
It's $4.99.
It's only $5,
maybe $6. I can check my bill.
$6.
I think it's really cheap.
Well, will I be adding $6 to that bill? But
yeah, you're gonna be there in about 2.5 years anyway. So,
yeah. Well, and here's where I was thinking. I was like, well, listen, if I have to pay $6 a month, but this avoids me having to pay hundreds of dollars to go watch it at the theater, then hey, that could be a good win for me.
It's $6.99.
It's not going to happen.
What is it?
It's $6.99 a month for just Disney Plus.
Okay.
But they have a Hulu bundle too. So you get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus for $13 a month.
Oh, well, I might.
There's nothing on ESPN right now.
Well, it's ESPN Plus, so there's nothing on it to begin with.
Yeah,
it's all like it's documentary and just behind the sports kind of stuff. There's no live sports. They talk about what sports used to look like, probably.
But you're right, Mojo, because I asked my wife, I was like, so if we get this, I won't have to go to the theater. She's like, oh, no, we'll still have to go. Oh.
It's good.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. That's like we for my oldest daughter's 16th birthday, she went to New York and watched Taylor Swift in concert. Well, then I had to relive the experience when she came out with a Netflix special of the same concert. And even though I didn't go to the concert, I pretty much know what happened at the concert.
Right, because you had the play-by-play.
Yeah, play-by-play.
So I think what I'm going to do is once this is released July 3rd, I'd like to have you guys over to watch it and get your thoughts on it. And then we can also live stream, live tweet Lion King that we've been talking about for about 4 years
This is the perfect time. This is how we're going to launch our YouTube channel, is live stream our reactions to the Lion King. You can't actually show it you can have it in the background.
Right.
And if you time it right, all that. I've seen Hamilton live, by the way, and it's pretty good. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I like history. I like rap sometimes.
So I don't know. I've gone 30 years now without watching The Lion King.
I know.
I think I want to keep this going. That way, maybe on my deathbed, Could be like a last wish granted, you know?
His final words would be, Simba.
You're going to be like in a nursing home, like in a wheelchair, and someone just rolls you into the TV room one day, and they're going to put Lion King on, and you won't be able to do anything about it.
And his inside's going, no! With a tear
It's crazy
streaming down his
What
face.
happened? He had a stroke. He was in perfect health.
I've never seen Lion King. I've never seen... What's the other ones?
Like Little Mermaid. Have you seen Aladdin?
I've never seen Mermaid. I've never seen all of Milan.
I haven't seen that one. Aladdin's pretty good. I like Aladdin, actually.
I like Aladdin.
The new one's actually pretty good, too. The live action.
Can I tell you something? Yeah, I kind of have a thing for Jasmine.
Cartoon Jasmine or live action Jasmine?
Both.
I think the cartoon version's probably better.
Yes. But there's something about that girl. She kind of reminds me of Buffy. Remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
She kind of looks like her a
Agreed.
little bit. How about you?
I said the same thing.
Producer Brian, we talked off air after the show last week about this sous vide experiment you want to do. We were just joking around, but I think we should actually do it.
Yeah, so just to ring Mojo, I was going off on the dollar store for some reason, or Dollar General, I forget why. And I had the idea, because, you can buy steak at Dollar General, right? So, I've got one of the
high quality.
Oh yeah,
steak.
it's the best. So I have an immersion
It's
circulator.
$4.
I have a sous vide immersion circulator.
Right.
So I was thinking, get like a nice New York strip or something, season it up, and then get whatever it is you get freeze dried from Dollar General, and do them both at the same time, and just see if you can like salvage it with the right cooking method. 'Cause you can get it's very forgiving. You get a really great steak out of that machine.
I think the only hope would be a sous vide.
Yeah.
For that meat. I think you're probably correct.
Yeah. So if I put it in there for like 3.5 hours, which is longer than I would do a normal piece of meat, which it may turn to like jelly. I don't know.
So I think we should try it. Can we try to make that happen?
Let's do it.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, let's go into some wacky news brought to you by 1812 Barbecue. If you are a hankering for something other than whatever else is getting delivered to your house,
Dollar General steak.
check out our friends at 1812 Barbecue. They are cranking out some fantastic brisket, pulled pork, the wonderful sides, and the amazing desserts. Check out our friends at 1812 Barbecue. They will knock your socks off. All right, guys. I love this headline. Hundreds of goats escape and they run wild in a neighborhood. On Tuesday evening, goats that were tasked with clearing bush, there's a joke there, on East Jose Hills managed to escape and run wild in the neighborhood for a little bit. A goat was eating flowers outside of a fence, managed to break the boards on it, allowing 200 goats to escape. It only took the rancher 5 minutes to wrangle them up, but for a few minutes, that neighborhood got the most entertaining few minutes since the shelter-in-place orders began. So, Zach Rowlands posted a YouTube video, or Twitter video, and there's 200 of these goats roaming the street of this little neighborhood, and it owns me like none other. Have you guys watched the video? Oh my gosh.
I didn't see the video, but I saw like a picture. My wife was actually showing me this story yesterday. And that's just, there's goats roaming the streets of this suburban area. It looks ridiculous.
There's 200 of them. And one of them just stops and like starts eating the flowers. And like, all right, Kevin, come on, let's move it. Let's keep it moving. His name was Kevin. He's like, come on, let's get moving. And I think there was a guy with a motorized scooter, like chasing them and moving them. And then you saw the dog also hurting him.
Motorized scooter, like a little buddy, like one of those supermarket things.
I think that's what he was doing to herd them out. But also, I think that it's genius that they're using the goats to clear the brush. That's a pretty good idea. Is that a new? Like, I think that's a new thing. Is that
no? That's not a new thing.
Oh.
If you go around like plants and stuff like that, they have the drainage culverts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The drainage ponds, retention ponds. Sometimes you'll see goats out there just living their best life.
I mean, that ain't a bad life, I'll tell you.
No,
But, hey, buddy, 200 of them running down your street. That'd be something. The 1812 barbecue story started over 20 years ago when Eric and his dad started entering local barbecue competitions for fun. During that time, Eric, a United States Marine, has traveled all over the world picking up flavors and techniques that today is the unique flavor of the award-winning 1812 barbecue. He has honed his craft to bring you fall-off-the-bone pulled pork, mouth-watering ribs, and finely crafted beef brisket. Eric has developed his own amazing dry rub and delicious barbecue sauce. And let's not forget the sides: coleslaw, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, cowboy baked beans, and to top it all off, banana pudding and pecan pie for dessert. Getting hungry yet? Good. Call or email Eric at 1812 Barbecue, and he can make your next catered meal happen. Wedding and graduation parties, family reunions, and other events will be memorable with 1812 Barbecue. Want to try your own hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Shipping all over the world, connect with Eric on his Facebook page, Instagram at 1812 Barbecue, or call 704-604-5148, or email Eric at eric.line@1812barbecue.com, and he'll be glad to help any way he can. All right, here's the next one from Warren Township, Ohio. Trumbull County Sheriff's deputies assisted Warren Township Police in arresting a man after he was spotted naked in the middle of the road, claiming to be Jesus. The warrant has been issued for the arrest of the 40-year-old man. According to the court records, he faces charges of resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and public indecency. Sounds a whole lot like Jesus we know from the Bible. Also, he's 40, so if he would have hit 33, you know that it's fake. The charges stem from an incident on April 29th where the officers were called to the area. They said that there was a man without clothes sweating profusely, so he was a biggin, and said that he was arrested, asked him what his name was, and he said it was Jesus Christ. I don't know. I mean, like, what's your name? He's like, Jesus Christ. Was he using that in vain? Or was he saying it like that it was actually Jesus?
Like the Big Lebowski was that guy.
Was that it?
Remember that movie?
I never watched it.
You didn't watch the Big Lebowski?
No.
Okay.
You looked at me like I looked at Mojo when he didn't watch The Lion King.
Here's the thing. It's the movie's...
The Dude Abides.
Yeah, The Dude Abides. The movie, gosh, it's so good. It's so terrible at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to you need to go repent after you watch the movie. But it's fantastic.
The same thing for Lion King, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So should I watch it? It's got John Goodman. Who else is in it?
I can't just.
There's somebody in there that I don't like.
There's lots of guys in that. Hold on, let's pull.
But yeah,
was it?
It's one of the head.
I can't remember the main guy.
I can't either. I just lost it.
Yeah, hold on, I'm looking it up.
We're gonna get down to this. We can't go any further until we figure out who was in the Big Lebowski. Feel free to help us out here. Facebook
right now,
Live,
people are screaming at
John Goodman, Julianne Moore's in it, Steve Buscemi's in it, Jeff Bridges is the dude. That's his name. It's the dude. Yeah, Steve, David Huddleston.
Who else?
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Tara Reid.
Tara Reid.
Yeah. John Turturro, his character is the one I'm referring to. His name,
Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. And
he plays a nihilist.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Who directed it? Is it a Tarantino one?
Surely not. No. It's too good to be Tarantino.
All right. And it's about bowling, right?
It's about a rug.
You're probably thinking of Kingpin.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah,
director's
that's
by the Coen brothers.
Oh, well, see that? I think I would like that.
Yeah, it's
all right.
Funny.
It's going on the docket. I'm going to watch it.
It's kids in bed movie for sure.
Sure, I got you. All right. Well, how about that? So Biggun hasn't seen Big Lebowski, so that'll be on the list to watch. Producer Brian, do you have any SFP headlines? By the way, congratulations on being back.
Thank you.
Saw it and listened to the new episode.
Finally, got some time. And as soon as I got time, I recorded a podcast. immediately.
It felt good though,
It felt
right?
great. It felt really good.
Yeah, you
I
missed
forgot I like doing that. So this week on the Southern Fried Headlines, a man steals his mom's car on Mother's Day. A guy wins a golf tournament with just a putter. And scientists want to make concrete out of urine on the moon.
See, I haven't made it to that part yet.
Yeah, that's towards the end. The theme is, you had the naked Jesus guy. The theme is people doing things in their underwear on this episode, I think.
Okay.
There's a couple. The guy that steals his mom's car is wearing it. He's just in his underwear.
I think you probably need to rename this episode Things on an Average Day in Salisbury near Blue Collar Cycle Company.
Or things that involve drugs.
Tuesday.
Right in front of Blue Collar Cycle. That's pretty much
Tuesday at Blue
Collar. Is it Blue Collar Cycle or Blue Collar Cycles? I'm still
Cycle.
See,
well, hold on. I told you about my LLC,
right?
And I think the guy had a lisp and said cycles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I forgot where we were even at. Yeah. So. Congratulations on being back.
Episode 19. I put it up. The schedule is changing a little bit. It probably won't be a Friday. It used to come out every Friday. I think it came out on Wednesday this week. So yeah, it's moving around because there's people in my house all day, so I can't do it at 9 a.m. like I used to.
You wait for that moment where they're watching Lion King or Big Lebowski, and you just let her rip with your.
The problem is the TV's like literally right next to me.
Yeah,
I'm in the room with the entertainment. So it's late night podcasting.
There you go. All right, so let's go to some hot topics brought to you by Hook, Line, and Heroes, 501c3, and they help our vets out with amazing experiences on a fishing boat. They fish. They teach the veterans about a relationship with God. They connect people. So I want to say shout out to our friends at Hook, Line, and Heroes, which this one's kind of fitting. Mojo, I'd be interested to get your opinion on this, which I think I kind of already know what's going to happen. But a group of armed demonstrators protesting in North Carolina's stay-at-home order walked the streets of Raleigh this past weekend. They had weapons slung over their shoulder and were captured at a restaurant and photographs that went viral. One of the photos saw a protester carrying what appeared to be an AT-4 rocket launcher and 2 pistols and holsters on his waist. Another protester holding a large weapon over his shoulder, which I don't know what kind of gun that is, but that is the most ginormous thing I've seen. 2 of the demonstrators appear to be wearing masks. They went into a Subway, which, by the way, that's where you would go. And they asked if it's okay for them to sit and eat. They said that they didn't want to look like they were threatening or intimidating anybody, but they were walking around with giant firearms around their waist, shoulders, and bodies. So I don't know if you saw the photos on this, but a rocket launcher. I didn't even know you could get a rocket launcher.
Well, I'd be kind of curious to find out if it was actually a rocket launcher or just a prop, or just because you can buy test dummy launch, rocket launchers and things like that. So I'd be kind of curious to see what that would actually be.
Did it say inert or Nerf on the side?
I'm pro Second Amendment. So, I mean, we carry at the shop. We encourage our customers to carry. Sure. We are a designated sanctuary community at our shop. So we're big on that. I think let's take it and divide it into 2 issues. As far as the Second Amendment, fully support people to carry.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bad PR.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think when you walk, it's like if you roll up an 810 Abrams tank or something and guys jump out the back to protest open carry or protest for, not having to have permits for concealed carry. Look, I believe in the right to protest, and I believe you're protesting for a right reason, but I think it's a bad PR image.
Right.
That it's just, I think it does the movement no good when you have the zealots out like that. I mean, if you want to come out with arms, that's fine. I like I said, I carry every day. I think it's just a bad image for the PR movement for what they're protesting for, but also the Second Amendment or the 2A Second Amendment community.
Yeah.
As far as protesting, what were they protesting again?
The fact that sorry, I lost
the restrictions hadn't been lifted yet, right?
Right. That? Yeah. It was trying to open up the city, open up the state.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I fully support that because we are now getting to ridiculousness now.
Sure.
I mean, what California just announced, what they're looking to push back till July. I think Oregon just looked to push back till July, maybe August.
Oh wow! Did not know that.
Economic devastation. Yeah, the economic devastation we're going to feel here is I think it's going to triumph any amount of COVID-19, Corona, Wuhan flu, Kung flu deaths compounded. I think we're going
flu.
Yeah. I think we're going to have a huge fallout from that versus the economic fallout versus anything we could have imaginarily made up arbitrary numbers from the Corona deaths.
Yeah, it hasn't even started to impact us. You know, I don't think that we've realized how bad.
I think we're starting to see a tip of it.
What
were you going to say, Producer Brian? What were you going to say?
So yeah, well, going back to the what they're protesting, to me, it's not related to the Second Amendment so much. So the fact that they're coming out with showing off all their stuff, it's just sending a bad message. You know, if you're protesting gun rights, great, that's fine that you're doing it that way. But if you're protesting, that looks like to me like that's a threat almost. You know, you're brandishing weapons.
Well, I think that's the intent. I think that's the intent. And well, number one, I an armed protest, respectful armed protest. It's not like they have weapons pointed, weapons aimed. I think just like when when citizens descended on the Capitol of Virginia to protest Northam's 2A restrictions or proposed 2A restrictions, I mean, they had to bring guns because they were not going to be bullied down just to show the support. I think the armed thing is just a side note, personally, in my view, because how many deaths, how many shots were fired that day? None.
0.
You know, so. But I understand what you're saying. It's
optics.
It's a PR. It's a PR thing.
Yeah. You get people looking at you. If you're carrying a gun, people are going to look at you. If you're carrying a sign, they're just going to pass by and not even think about it.
Well, also to push back a little bit, Reopen North Carolina, which I've reached out to have them on as a guest. They try to do it respectfully and show up unarmed at these are across the country now. They have Reopen chapters everywhere. They've done it respectfully and have really they're basically being ignored.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think, like I said, going back to it, if we don't reopen the states as soon as possible, I think we're going to see economic disaster that we can, it'll make the Great Depression look like, child's play. I mean, just today announced, I think in this state, the schools obviously are shut down. Teachers are still working through, virtual, whatever. But economy has impacted so much that the state is now adding an extra $370 a month, I believe, to people who have already had their kids approved for reduced or free lunch to their EBT cards or some other methods to help out with the feeding of the kids because the kids are home. That's how much of an economic impact we're having here right now. And we're just sitting there, some of us you're either gung-ho. There's really no middle ground here. You're either, like me, reopen the whole damn thing, or you got people that just say, hey, lock it down until we find a vaccine 3 years. So we can't do that. We're going to have, I'm telling you right now, we're going to have economic devastation. We're already seeing the tip of I think we're 36 million people have filed for unemployment.
Yeah.
That's over 10% added. You know, what I mean, that's 10% of our population is added onto the rolls, or over actually 15% of the population is added onto the rolls just since this stuff started. I mean, and it's going to take to start this machine back up. It's going to take time.
Yeah. I feel like that people think that as soon as we say, well, open it up, it's just going to go straight back to what it was and we're not going to have to build it up. But I don't think that that's the case. I think it's going to be people trickling out to go to restaurants, trickling it out to go to retail that just wouldn't open the doors and let it roll. So I'm going to...
What I think is funny, and this just shows you how, look, I believe in states' rights. I think states should have,
sure.
Of its constituents, you don't want California telling what North Carolina to do, and you don't want, other states telling each other. I fully believe in that. But, just put it in context. Where we live, we're 30 minutes of Charlotte, and we're 30 minutes, or an hour basically from Fort Mill, 45 minutes from Fort Mill, South Carolina. It is illegal to get your hair cut in our area.
Yeah, look at this hair. Look at this hair.
You're getting a fro. But I can drive 45 minutes to Fort Mill and get my hair cut.
You love
it. And the barbers, beauticians, hairstylists, whatever, have no threat of losing their license. Now, if someone decides to go all black market, I'm going to cut some hair on the side to help put food on the table for my family. They have a threat of losing their license. And that's crazy. Look at this week, just in the bike community. There's the Bike Week is every May, and in Myrtle Beach, huge event. Well, we have nowhere to go, nowhere to do. Well, Facebook groups have organized a unofficial Bike Week since it got canceled, and it's Myrtle Beach. So all those tax dollars are going from our area to South Carolina. I mean, do they have some imaginary cure that we don't know of? I don't know.
Well, and here's my question is, what is the deal with, like, getting your hair cut? Like, my dentist sent out an email saying, hey, we're opening up this next week, which is this week. So the dentists are open up for cleanings, all of that stuff. But why can't I get my hair cut? Like, why is the haircut in the nail salon, why are those things being targeted? Like, you can't do it. It blows, like, what is it about the hair salon? Like, they're not open anywhere.
There's not any. Look, if you look at even the restrictions, like when, just take North Carolina, for example, when Governor Cooper issued his edict to shut down the whole state, there was so many loopholes in there for business to operate. I'll be honest with you, I'm a prime example of it. I've fallen transportation related can remain open. But people that don't fall in those categories, don't, and these are people that have less influence than I would with a crowd, and they're not allowed to open. So in a way, government is picking and choosing losers. So, but as far as from a taxpayer standpoint, think about all the missing revenue that we have right now for the state is collecting state sales tax and stuff.
Sure.
Where's that money going to come from to make up for the budgets? Because I don't see Governor Cooper, any of the state senators and Congress people, mayors, police officers. I don't see any of them taking pay cuts. They've not missed they've not missed one paycheck. So I don't know how we're going to recoup and rebound. We're going to be so far in the hole that we're going to be borrowing money at exponential rates. We can never pay back.
Yeah. Well, even just looking at the salons for an example, like I know, Mojo, you sent an article last week about a guy that's just going to open up, and if you arrest me, you arrest me, but the DA is not pressing any charges because he's just trying to work. He's just trying to cut hair. He's, wearing the mask, he's doing the things, but it doesn't make sense why they're picking and choosing, like you said, those specific businesses of what can open and what has to stay closed. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I think it's man, I just had this conversation today. It's amazing how many people 6 months ago, and maybe this is me calling people out, but it's amazing how 6 months ago we had people that probably wear the "Don't Tread on Me" shirts, and or the opposite crowd, not my president, or people that extreme left or right. All of a sudden something comes up like this, where they're immediately just handing over their liberties to a government to please save me, and then I can't afford my mortgage, or I can't afford my car payment. Please step in and help. It's not my fault that I ask you to shut this down. And I think now is the time we probably should be pushing back a little bit, because, okay, 2 weeks stay at home, I get it. I can maybe comply with that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But to the point now where, there's people that have lost their dreams and hopes. People have lost 401ks have been wiped out. People have maxed out credit cards to open small businesses that have been wiped out, will never reopen again. Yeah. And we're just sitting back saying, hey, go make you a mask out of some used Victoria's Secret panties from Goodwill. That'll protect you. We're just.
That's not recommended by the show. Just saying.
I haven't heard anyone say that. I'm just saying.
But I think, Brian, your wife's a teacher. And they're already financially shortfall every year. Teachers will keep pushing back for more pay or more money for a classroom. Think about it now. My goodness, we have no tax dollars coming in for 2020 and 2021 school year.
Yeah. They never passed the budget for last year.
Yeah, they've already announced cuts to that. But I guarantee you the catering budget for the governor hasn't stopped. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is across all 50 states. This ain't just North Carolina.
By the way, governor's still getting a haircut. I don't know if you guys know.
He's still getting a haircut. What is he going to, Fort Mill?
Probably.
No, he's not. He's got his own private barber. You know that. But see, here's the thing: this is why going with the subway guy with the bazooka. We're at that level of hysteria and being pissed off now that we have to take steps to make a presence.
Yeah.
Because of the hypocrisy of these guys. Governor getting his haircut. He hasn't missed a haircut. Mm-mm. He hasn't missed probably going into.
What if it's a toupee? Just throw that out there.
Could be. If it does, I apologize. But I guarantee he's probably taking private rides with limo drivers and his own security detail that aren't masked up. The level of hypocrisy is mind boggling. But we're so quick to give Caesar our due in each state, and we settle for the crumbs, and we do that every time. And it's very disheartening to see this, because, like I said, I know people personally have lost businesses, people that have jobs that will never go back to.
Right.
School has been forever affected for all kids. We've already talked about that 2 episodes ago, how school's probably going to reshape. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm not saying we go back to what we were, because I'm not saying that was a great system, but there's not enough amount of money in this country that we give everyone a universal basic income to sit at home. It's just not.
And this is going to be a bit touchy, which I think is kind of your wheelhouse. How much of this could be avoided if people took personal responsibility? And when I say that, like Dave Ramsey has been screaming for 30 years, 6 months of emergency fund, or 6 months of emergency fund. He's been doing that for 30 years. How much of that should big corporations, should families, should have said, okay, maybe I don't need to get the next, giant screen TV. Maybe I should put that money aside and have 6 months of a security fund. Like, governments, people, like, how much of that is be like, you could have saved up, but you didn't.
Well, I think it's a bigger issue, personal responsibility.
That's not the American way. It's a bigger, better, newer. Spend every dime you got. Well, that's what the marketing and business has trained us, and commercial stuff has trained us. and brainwashed us to spend all our money immediately so we can have that thing that,
Mm-hmm.
want to be me too, or to be just like that, your neighbors and that kind of stuff. It's hard to break that cycle, I think. That's
Not hashtag me too, just to be clear.
not that one.
We can talk about that one later. No, I think producer Brian's right. I mean, how many people think about retiring and retirement wages? We think that the government will pay us, when we get old and elderly, and we'll have some type of health care. I mean, you look at it from that personal responsibility. Is it my responsibility to provide and raise my kids and school them? Well, no, we just hand that off to
Mm-hmm.
the daycare system or school system. Is it my job to feed my kids during lunch? No, we'll just allow the school system to feed them. And it's really showing right now with, the drop-offs and stuff. The school system has gone from educator to number one lunch provider for millions of kids overnight.
Yeah.
They've retooled their image. I mean, and their responsibility. Look, I'm not saying I'm the most responsible adult out there, but we will trade our mistakes for personal responsibility and give over our civil liberties to the government to get a check in a heartbeat.
That's 100%. We'll give up our personal responsibility to the government for false security.
Yeah, and we do that in forms of a safety net when we retire, to some form of disability. Like I'm not saying all people. I'm not saying that, but like
sure.
people can reshape themselves to be something else in the market, even though they may get injured. Anyone has any problems, I can give you my personal story. I have enough injuries and life challenges to speak to this, but you know what I'm saying? People that may stub their toe.
Yeah,
and then
you've been through hell and back. But somebody will get a paper cut and be like, "Oh, I'm disabled. I'm out. I'm going to claim that."
But it happens. I mean, I can speak to that.
Not for a paper cut.
A family that does that. But I don't think personal responsibility is a thing that we instill in anything. I mean, like
absolutely
kids,
not.
Like even kids, like why did you make an F on this test?
Mm-hmm.
They have no personal responsibility.
Zero
to answer towards that. Why did you decide to go make the stupid decision, purchase weed off of some high school drug dealer? That's not my, I just did it. There's no personal responsibility or personal accountability. Yeah. There's just not. I mean, we have so many bailout programs for this and that unfortunately, it's not there.
Well, even corporations, if you want to look at the big scheme of things, why are we bailing out banks? Why are we bailing out airlines? Why are we bailing out these other companies when they should have known better? And these are, they've got some of the top people managing their money. Put that money aside. Just like, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's Dave Ramsey saying, put that stuff aside just in case there's an emergency. That's not rocket science. Why not have that so that when things like this happen, you can say, we're good for 6 months. We're okay for a year. We've got enough money to keep rolling. But we don't do that. They shouldn't get bailed out. Those big companies should have known better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like in 2008, I was four major companies filing bankruptcy because I think that you can get too big to where you're not managing finances. I mean, for example, if we decide to file bankruptcy, I can't go to the taxpayers to bail me out.
Right.
I just don't understand. I mean, look, I understand. I've run businesses from all sizes, and I understand sometimes your months you're floating checks, and sometimes your months you're, eating steak. I get that.
In the sous vide.
Exactly.
Dollar steak.
But if I ran my business, if I ran my personal account like my business account, and some of those lean times, I mean, and that's what a lot of times corporations do. They run like they're the government. They have endless fountains of cash. I mean, that's one thing we don't have. Is the printing machine of the federal government. not even the federal government, the Federal Reserve, but like you said, there's no personal responsibility. Like producer Brian said, we have no accountability for that. We have it's not taught anymore.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I'm tired of kind of seeing the bailouts. Let them fall. I know that's a hot take, but let them fall.
Well, but like going back to the personal responsibility, open up the economy. Let the people who want to wear masks. Of course, that wouldn't go over too well in the South when all of a sudden it turns 110 degrees outside and you're breathing your hot breath. Which, by the way, after eating Waffle House and you let that thing sit in the car for 3 days, the mask ain't going to work great, but let people out. Let them mingle. Yeah. Have you guys tried to I went through Lowe's the other day with the N95 mask, and it's the thick dude. I had to walk from one end to the other trying to breathe through that thing. Have you tried to do that? Yeah. Good Lord.
I mean, I haven't done exercise like that with a mask on, but I did walk around a little bit with one. I had a mask made that has a filter built into it. I can take it out.
Good gracious.
A little warm.
I was struggling at the end. I mean, it was tough. All right. Complete shift in gears.
Hold on a second. We have a comment. Okay. We have a comment from one of our listeners. Buddy of mine named Keith Bills. He said people are refusing to return to work because of the amount of unemployment. That I've actually seen that because of the additional stimulus on top. Where there's an article came out in the Washington Post, I believe, or Washington Times the other day about some employers are actually worried about when the states start to lift because some of their former staff do not want to come back because they're actually earning more money. They're earning more money on unemployment than they are if they were going to work a 40-hour work week.
Well, they just have to add the restriction back in that you have to prove that you're looking for a job.
Right. No, I get that, but I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of a bigger problem. That if you had a presidential candidate who came out and offered, hey, you can have $4,000 to sit at home due to prevention of global warming or due to prevention of saving baby seals or whatever it may be, and all of a sudden had a windfall of votes, people would choose to sit at home
absolutely
on their asses versus actually going in and punching a clock and earning your own keep. So and also Keith also said that the Mormon churches has said it since the early 70s. I'm going to assume that he's talking about personal responsibility. You can message on there, Keith, if I'm wrong on that. But as far as personal responsibility and preparing and making sure you have a little bit of a nest egg or whatever.
Absolutely. You'll remember.
And Dave Ramsey's the biggest. I wish. Part of me would wish that Trump would appoint Dave Ramsey as the Fed chair or something like that because of his fiscal responsibility. So,
Rodney Robinson said, "Let them file bankruptcy. Those large corporations know what they need to survive, and they fail to follow the guidelines. We all know." So, I completely agree with that. You can say something, producer Brian?
Nope.
Okay.
Move on.
So there's that. Hook, Line, and Heroes is a 501c3 nonprofit based in Charlotte, North Carolina, founded in 2017 to show God's love and appreciation for our disabled and PTS military veterans. They provide professionally guided fishing trips to nominated veterans at no cost to the veteran. Hook, Line, and Heroes has provided over 30-plus trips around the Carolinas since their founding, from red fishing down in Charleston to striper fishing on Lake Norman, and even offshore fishing down in Florida. Each trip is a one-on-one experience with a member of the organization, aiming to provide a day of fun and relaxation on the water and begin a lifelong relationship with them. Each veteran leaves the day with a fully stocked tackle box, rod and reel, apparel, a Bible, and a daily devotion to kickstart their new hobby and build their relationship with God. Please take the time to visit their website at hooklineandheroes.org to hear and learn more about them. You can help in many ways by nominating a veteran you know through their website, join their monthly giving program, Healing Heroes, or send a one-time personal or corporate donation. You'll also be happy to hear that they are completely volunteer-run, and nearly 100% of your donations goes directly towards providing trips for the veterans. Be sure to follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to see their veteran stories and to show your support. So let's shift gears and talk about aliens. So the Pentagon has officially released 3 short videos following unidentified aerial phenomenon that had previously been released by a private company. Videos show what appears to be unidentified flying objects moving rapidly while recorded by infrared cameras. Again, reading is hard. 2 of the videos contain service members reacting in awe of how quickly the objects are moving. One voice speculates that it could be a drone. User Brian, I think you're going to be showing that video.
Yeah, I'm going to put this on the live stream for anyone who wants to see it here. If I can get it lined up right. There we go.
It's rotated.
The Department of Defense acknowledged that UFOs or identified aerial phenomena exist. After a thorough review, the department has determined that the authorized release of these unclassified videos does not reveal any sensitive capabilities or systems. There have been a number of reports of unauthorized and or unidentified aircraft entering various military-controlled ranges and designated airspaces. We're showing a video from 2004 right now off the coast of California.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
This is off the Atlantic
We're
coast.
going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh, big dude.
It's unclear how many sightings have been reported behind closed doors.
They do say, I mean, I've seen and I've read and I've heard, and I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly.
Do you think you'd know if there were evidence of extraterrestrials?
Well, I think our great pilots would know. And some of them really see things that are a little bit different than in the past. So we're going to see.
In order to identify and understand what's going on, we need more data and more reporting, says U.S. Navy spokesman. Anyway.
Y'all, what do you think about aliens?
Sorry, there's a punchline there.
No, that's perfect. So this video that you showed, we'll have the link on our show notes. But there's some pretty weird looking objects flying out there.
Yeah, have you seen these videos, Mojo?
I have, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. I love conspiracy stuff, so I've seen them. Yeah.
Do you think that there are aliens, Mojo?
Do I think so? I think I think we would be awful remiss to dismiss it because of so much unknown. I mean, when I think was the average, the average week, average month, average day, it's a stat of how many new species we find on this planet alone that we do not know of. And we found a whole new genus, which is above a species. That's a whole subcategory. A whole new genus of species on this earth in a truck stop sink in South Africa.
So you're saying
what?
those are aliens?
Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is, going back to the aliens, is that we don't even know what's in the deep blue sea and the jungle, forest, and sinks of South African truck stops. I think we'd be awful remiss to say that we're all alone. And the fear and paranoia, especially here growing up in the South, where if you speak of anything like that, then you could be mentioning heresy and could be on a fire pit, going to hell or whatever.
Good gravy. That's drastic.
But you got to think, church we grew up in would not
100%.
embrace the concept of aliens. But I think right now this is interesting with them releasing stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Is this disclosure that aliens do exist, but it's kind of like the soft disclosure of kind of wetting the palate a little bit, make it, maybe this is not the news headline. The news headlines are COVID-19, Orange Man bad, layoffs, and then all of a sudden, like, aliens exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is this kind of like the soft disclosure?
it's underneath everything else, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and part of it, and Rodney said this, and I also agree. These things are coming in, these planes are armed. Why not shoot these things down? If you are in a unrestricted fly zone and you're just taking pictures of it, why not shoot it down? I don't know why we don't.
I think you can provoke an incident too. You know, let's just say it was
aliens.
You know, aliens. You know, I mean.
Oh, you think okay? So we don't want to shoot it down because it could be aliens,
right?
But even if it was
Chinese,
you know, foreign. What if it was a foreign entity that had something supersonic like that? I mean, we could just be. I mean,
well, you shouldn't be in our fly zone.
Sure, I get that, but just say it's aliens. You know, our first human contact response, you know what I mean, would be like, hey, let's just launch a missile and blow up their machine. I mean,
no, I'll give you that if it's actual aliens. But if it's something different, you know, and it's somebody that's in a place where they shouldn't be.
It's a time machine. That's what it is. They're humans.
Oh, you think it's a time machine?
Right. Could be.
Well, some of them they say are like as small as a suitcase. I mean, if you're flying and you see this suitcase in the air, I mean, aliens can't be that small. Well, I guess they can be.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, we have no judgment on what they are. Could be.
Is it Star Trek 3 where they came back in time to save the whales? Is that the one?
Is that please anybody?
That was anything after the first Star Trek was horrible.
Con, right?
But no, I think it's just interesting to see what we're discovering.
Yeah,
we've had new images from the Hubble and such telescope, and I do find it interesting that all the global not telescopes, where the institutes and private organizations that have actually set up to where they can view the skies and stars and track comets and track asteroids, and it's like all of them are shut down due to Corona. Not exactly sure why, because you got like 3 or 4 nerdy scientists in there given
so
time.
You're saying Corona is from the aliens?
Oh, snap.
I didn't say that directly, but that makes me think it.
Right?
Yeah. Snap.
I see where you're getting at.
Maybe COVID is an acronym for something secret.
Yep. Aliens engineered bats to have this thing, and now the media's blowing up. It's a subversive.
Well, here's what they're doing. They're setting up. They're setting up for when Trump wins 2020, that Trump's going to have a 2020 in 2021. There's going to be an alien collusion investigation into him winning the election. I'm calling it now.
There it is.
You heard it
the
first.
Lizard people. The lizard people are.
That's what on the Facebook Alan says. Yeah, it's the lizard people from the center of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Is it lizard people or just Hillary Clinton?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay, that's one and the same.
But did aliens get Epstein? Is the real question.
No.
Okay.
No, we're actually going to talk about. That's a great segue, producer Brian, to talk about Epstein. So let me tell you. So I listened to a little show out of Birmingham, Alabama. It's a tiny show. Nobody really listens to it. Called Rick and Bubba, a syndicated show throughout the United States. It's a giant show. But I was listening to it, and one of the guys was talking about a YouTube documentary called Out of Shadows. And we'll have that on our show notes as well. Out of Shadows on YouTube. It's not produced anywhere. It's only on YouTube. That's the only place I found it. And he was saying this is the most eye-opening documentary that he's ever seen. So obviously that gets your attention. You're like, whoa, the most important or the most eye-opening documentary. So I was like, well, all right, I've got an hour to kill, an hour 17 minutes. Might as well listen to it while I'm at work. Guys, my world flipped upside down, and I'm at a crossroads of even the Disney Plus. I'm a little like, should I even not get it because of this thing? It is what I think is eye-opening. They go through several, and I don't even want to call them conspiracy theories because it's real. First, they start off with, well, and let me back up saying, I believe most of the stuff in the documentary. I'll give you half. I'll say, well, half of the stuff. The other half is a little weird, I think. And you guys have both watched it, so I'm interested to know your take on it. But I'll kind of give you a rundown of what they talked about. First, they start off with Project Mockingbird. And these are all kind of conspiracy theories, things of what has happened in Hollywood versus things that are happening in the government, and how ultimately the government is influencing Hollywood and how that is influencing how we think and how we react and controlling us through the government, through the media. So that's part of it. The other part of it is through, it talks about Epstein, it talks about Pizzagate. And if you don't know these words, we'll kind of run through these as well. It talks about Pizzagate, talks about MK Ultra, which is again is the mind control part of it. But ultimately, the government is controlling us through media and influencing based on blackmailing other people based on things and improprieties that they've had in the past. And then they kind of wrap it up with, it's all because of Satan. That part I'm kind of out of.
Let's go back just a sec. You said Operation
Mockingbird is the first one out of the gate. That one I think is fact.
Well, Operation Mockingbird is and it's actually been declassified. It was a plan during the 60s to for the CIA to infiltrate media and to distort facts, especially during the Vietnam War and things like that. You can't watch news now and not think it's somehow manipulated from some angle, because I think that video came out last year that had like 20-something stations all saying the same script, 30 stations. Yeah. I mean, there's some manipulation going there because, we get fed what we need. There is no true journalism on mainstream media anymore because it is stuff that's from a op-ed point of view always. What was the other operation?
So we did go ahead, producer. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no.
Nope. Mockingbird, basically, there are offices in Hollywood. There are CIA offices that are in Hollywood. I didn't know that, and I thought that part was pretty interesting. Yeah. But basically, Project Mockingbird, the government was paying journalists to write the stories that they want to push out into the narrative for the American public.
We also have things like, our government pays the NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA every year to display the American flag and American patriotism. That probably can be considered an operation too. We're actually paying those entities to display patriotism
and play the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah,
I've always
not play the Pledge of Allegiance, but play the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
The whole rigmarole of patriotism that we pay those entities taxpayer dollars to show that. And that's
did not know that.
So all this supposedly started like after World War II, and it's been propaganda for the ever since like film became modern and publicly like, it was a mainstream thing. They've been feeding us whatever for the last 75 years.
Right. Yeah. The next one,
if you look at World War II and FDR, FDR controlled a lot of the news media and how it came out. Mm-hmm. As can't remember who said it now, but the people who win wars write history.
Mm-hmm.
You never see the history written from the defeatist point of view. Just like
they whipped us.
Yeah, but like World War II, we came in late. We did a great job. Don't get me wrong, but Russia already had the Germans pinned back. The Germans captured. It was a race to Berlin. It was either America or Russia was racing to Berlin, and Russia happened to get there first. But from our perspective, the history is written that we did it all. But in actuality, it was a combined of Allied forces with Britain and Russia or Soviet Union at the time, and us. Talking about the other topic, Operation Paperclip. That's It's been declassified as 100% true.
Yeah, that's 100%.
We after World War II, we basically pick and choose winners to best suit the needs of the U.S. government. With, between the jump starting of NASA with Werner von Braun, to guys who were into genetic research, DNA research, and we whitewashed all their past history with the crimes against humanity to suit the betterment and the forward progress of our government. So, yeah, I mean,
there's
call
even
conspiracy or not, it's not conspiracy, it's declassified.
Yeah, there's a show called The Hunters on Amazon that kind of talks about that as well.
That's actually a plot of a Captain America movie.
Yeah, they even talked about Captain America on the documentary.
But I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where it happens right in front of us, but we don't recognize it. We don't question. I think the TV show Hunters makes light of it, where basically they resettled Huntsville, Alabama, the capital, where part of NASA's program is this hillbilly growing up part of the South here, and all of a sudden you had an influx of German-speaking people with German restaurants and German bakeries and German this and German that, and no one kind of really put two and two together that what was happening was that the U.S. government was taking former Nazis, maybe unrepentant Nazis, who decimated an ethnicity group, and all of a sudden we're making U.S. rockets for NASA, taking the swastika off, putting the stars and bars on. So it's just the way government rolls, man. So
yeah, and then with that, it kind of moved into MK Ultra, which is mind controlling, using like LSD to control people, programming and manipulation. Also, based on some of the, and I say this loosely, so don't email me, the research that the Nazis were doing on the Jewish people and how they could control them as well. So it talked about MK Ultra as a mind controlling operation that the government was doing. Do you have any thoughts on MK Ultra?
Well, I mean, MK Ultra, I think when you told me to watch this documentary, I was like, all right, I'm kind of curious. And probably the first 30 minutes, I'm like, man, I've known this for 10 years.
Your text was, you guys are way behind.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, I started watching this stuff in 2001.
I was 4.
Yeah, I'm like, Alex Jones is my homie. What are you talking about? So, no, but like the MK Ultra, once again, you look into, I'll segue this and comment here in a second. I'll segue it. In the 60s, CIA heavily involved in influencing counterculture from between LSD, the hippie revolution. I mean, CIA had hands in all of this because it was counterculture. I mean, hell, CIA and FBI or CIA sponsored modern art to like Jackson Pollock. These guys, they sponsored their art not because it was great. They were just trying to crush the art world prices and classical paintings due to communism and this and that. So, but Timothy Leary out of Berkeley University and LSD, these guys were sponsoring them. They were sponsoring mind control. During the Cold War, don't think we were the only ones out there trying to figure out if we could remote site view plans. I mean, all these governments, especially the Soviet Union, had the same programs, tit for tat. So,
and then it kind of transitions into like the CIA influencing culture with LSD, mind control, MK Ultra. Then it transitioned into CIA honeypots. And CIA honeypots basically is a sting operation for getting people into precarious situations with, they say, other females, with
males also.
Males with kids, things like that. And then basically blackmailing them, saying, hey, you can vote against this, but remember, we've got pictures of you. And in this case, they were using, for example, on Epstein's plane, on Epstein's island, on, records of you and that kind of stuff. So from the 70s, they've been using CIA project, honeypot, to influence people and kind of get what they want in government through blackmail. Any thoughts on Project Honeypot? Which, by the way, kind of makes me hungry.
No, I think, I think that's just, a dirty tactic that, it's probably been, I don't think it just probably goes back to the 60s. I'm sure that
Sure.
you could probably go back to the American Revolutionary War and see that from the foundations.
No, they didn't have photographs back then. You had to stand there for like 20 minutes.
No, but what I'm saying though is you would have putting people in compromising positions to retrieve information for the opposition side. So, no, I think it's probably and I think it's ironic that the government outlaws prostitution unless it's under the state mandate of collecting information for blackmail. That's kind of like closing down poker slots or whatever, the coin operated machines and gas stations, but you sell lottery tickets 20 feet away from the state.
Sure.
It's just kind of, that's the hypocrisy of government, but hey, we love our government. I'm sure it probably continues today. We try to pride ourselves within the 48 states and also Hawaii and Alaska that, we don't use certain ops, on our citizenry. But once you cross international borders, it's a kind of an open bag, where you have black op sites and black op, type of operations that happen where we don't have the same quote unquote morality ethics that we try to hold within the states. So what you looking at there?
So outside of my window, I think somebody just walked by in a bathrobe.
Maybe
Tim.
How about
well, you had a whole thing of people doing things in their underwear, so maybe that's part of that.
Maybe it's MK Ultra. Yeah. But then it kind of
could be aliens.
Moved into Pizzagate, and I was kind of following, and I know Mojo, you know a lot more about Pizzagate, but can you explain Pizzagate to us?
So I'm going to go off my memory here. So Pizzagate was the sizzle phrase of 2017, I think, where you had a pizza parlor owner in D.C., I think Comet Pizza. And I'm not accusing this person of anything.
Mm-hmm.
We're stating the thing just because
on the documentary.
I'm pretty sure the last person who accused me of anything has no longer has a career, but
there's that.
Or being investigated. So I'm not accusing. I'm just repeating information, which I don't think is illegal. But so you had.
I need to file a disclaimer real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead and fire that up.
But I think so basically anyway, you had a big child sex trafficking ring, and somehow this pizza parlor was in the middle of it.
I didn't understand that part.
Well, because the reason why they try to tie it in is because the owner, I think he had some social media profiles that were very questionable. The artwork, of the artwork of the paintings of like kids tied up.
There was some like the iconography used in some of these pictures that represented different things. Like the logo looked real similar to some.
Yeah, they had some iconography where I guess like universal symbols for, hey, I'm a pedophile or I'm not.
Boy love, I think is what they said.
Your boy love, whatever. These are icons that community uses as hidden symbols to recognize each other. Mm-hmm. And they had similar things in their logos and paperwork, but also the owner. I mean, very kind of a creepy fella.
He's very creepy.
Yeah, where he had like his social media profiles would make comments but also not only that have emails that were being sent back and forth to people that had very questionable phrases like, I'm ordering a pizza.
It'd be nice to have
like
a pizza
to
for an hour, I think was the quote used.
Yeah. I mean, just general vague things. Now, we can take from what we want to with that. I think probably people have been in jail for less, with drug related charges, because they'll catch on to some type of code phrasing. Very suspicious. I mean, people jumped on it. I'm not exactly sure who broke it, but
Liz Crokin, which we're trying to get on the show.
Yeah.
She was a journalist, and she, with the Anthony Weiner emails, when that kind of got out, it was traced back to other folks in like the Clinton administration. Those emails were also tied to people in media, and so it was kind of back and forth with things like the word handkerchief. I saw a handkerchief that had a map. Are we still using the same channels for the pizza? So things like that you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like those things, those are completely out of context. So it's a little odd. So it kind of talked about that, which led into just a exclusive pedophilia ring. And that was where it tied into Epstein, how he had all of the documents and all the ledgers of people and all the numbers, and therefore it goes into Epstein couldn't have killed himself, or if he did, it was very suspicious. And I have we'll say anonymous at this point, that somebody worked for the Bureau of Prisons for 3 years. They say Epstein's death was suspicious mainly because of the corrections officers failing to make the rounds. Also, the cameras being inoperative in the hallway. Epstein's hallway is very suspicious. The totality of the circumstances show it's very possible that the CEOs committed the crime. That's where they would start. So, is this somebody from? I don't think we. It's. Or let me start. I don't think this is a secret that just because you may have a suit and tie and have security and be voted in by people that you're all above board, because there's depravity on all levels of society, from the upper class to the upper middle class to the lizard
lower
people.
Middle class you have depravity, and but you have depravity that gets looked over by upper echelon society, upper echelon, even authorities. In the UK, there was a guy named Jimmy Savile who was a TV star, well-loved, famous person. Well, he happened to be also one of the biggest pedophiles in England. And people knew it for years, but no one would speak of it until after his death. So I'm pretty sure that we have the same thing here, where you have people like Epstein. You have people like, I don't know the names, but you have people that...
that chick from Smallville, she was running a ring too.
Well, Allison Mack.
Yeah, that wasn't children though. That was adults, but still sex ring, still sex trafficking.
She seems so nice on TV.
Yeah, still a cutie, but a whacked out crazy cutie. But no, but these are things that probably it's like the Operation Honeypot.
Yeah,
I got information on you. Let's continue this operation.
Sure.
So, but I guess next segue is into spirit cooking, I believe.
Yeah, that's where it kind of lost me. So they were talking about spirit cooking, as it's all the devil, which, by the way, is completely weird. Basically, they were saying if you are Hollywood and you've got power, it's basically because you sold your soul to the devil and they control you. I don't know how real that part is. That's where it kind of lost me a little bit on the documentary. I would like to know, Producer Brian, kind of your thoughts on the overall documentary, and then we could talk about the spirit cooking.
Yeah, they lost me on the spirit cooking a little bit with I'm sure it's there. Is it that prevalent? So I would wrap up the whole thing in the CIA is paying Hollywood to make Independence Day so that when the aliens come, we won't be surprised.
Oh, it's a precursor to knowing.
Or when they come back to get Epstein, we won't be surprised. We'll know how to find him.
That's what you got out of the documentary.
Yeah.
Did you think it was completely weird and like wacko, or do you think there's like some legitimacy there?
Oh yeah, it's very plausible. I think it's very plausible that, I mean, the CIA, they say they don't operate at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, they're supposed to be on foreign. They're supposed to be on foreign soil.
Same person that will remain anonymous said that the federal prison in Lexington was used by HHS as a test site for LSD using federal prisoners.
And HHS is Human Health Service.
Right.
Yeah. So if our podcast number jumps from like 147 to 149 mysteriously. Well,
that, or we all of a sudden see like Arlington, Virginia,
we're all
pop
dumb.
up on the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I think it was a good documentary. What do you think about the spirit cooking, Mojo? We'll go to that.
Well, I mean, I does it exist? I believe so. Just because we have, we've had declassified things out like, Bohemian Grove, where these group of influential movers and shakers men is a base all men's club that will meet in Bohemian Grove, California for a weekend of cabin retreats, wearing Crocs, khakis, and watching worshiping some owl named Moloch. We've seen this.
So you say
before.
Crocs are from the devil?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't
not
say
saying that.
That's
devil.
what I heard.
But you could decipher what you. So does some level of alternative spiritual religious thing? I'm sure it does. I think with the documentation that they provide in the documentary, like Lady Gaga and Katy Perry, and yeah, you can definitely see that, especially when you have their own voices quoting their love for the person, their spiritual mentor. I think it exists. I mean, like I said, John Podesta and his brother, Hillary Clinton's campaign advisor. What a weirdo. Woo. I mean, this guy had to be kicked in the teeth in high school a couple times. He is just somebody that you probably just want to punch in the teeth. And seeing like photos and the paintings that these guys have in their eye. I mean, these guys, they have the same kind of love of art that Epstein did, if you think about it. They had a lot of the same symbolism in the artwork that they pulled out of Epstein. So there's got to be something here. When the hair raises on your neck from the level of kind of creeps they are, something's got to be.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, the spirit cooking thing, I don't know. Still don't quite understand it, even though I've known about it for a few years. But to some level of debauchery that isn't based in Southern Baptist or Pentecostal or Roman Catholic, I think it's probably there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I think overall, I think it was a good documentary. It kind of did open my eyes to some of the, like I knew about Operation Paperclip, but MK Ultra, and just kind of how deep and influential it comes on in Hollywood. So I just thought overall it was a good documentary. We'll have the show notes there if you want to watch it. I just thought it was something we talked about.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going to wrap up our show. I will say last week we had Ryan Lemond on the show. He was the co-host of Kentucky Sports Radio. Next week we'll actually talk to his wife, Amanda Lemon, and she has a amazing story about being in the foster care system, growing up a foster kid, and then what it's like, as she looks back on that. So she'll be on our show next week. So excited about that. Mojo, go ahead and take us out.
Appreciate you guys tuning in once again for Southern Fried Philosophy. You can find us on our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. Find us on our Facebook page at Southern Fried Philosophy. That's where we like to share stupid memes. Well, I do. And any other tidbits. You can find us on the YouTubes at youtube.com/SFP Radio. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just go there, search Southern Fried Philosophy, hit subscribe, give us a like, give us a rating, a review. That's the most important thing that we ask for. Share our episodes. Also, like, if you haven't registered to be an organ donor, please do that. Please pass on that gift of life just in case you decide to kick the bucket.
Ouch. No, it is true. Go ahead and sign up. Do that now. Guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you listening to the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast. And as always, keep looking up.